Dear colleagues, it is my absolute pleasure to present the findings of the joint team of Borys Grinchenko Kyiv University and Zaporizhzhia National University pertaining to the digital interoperability of foreign languages education. The study is precipitated on the structure of global metatrends that were changing the world up to the year 2029. These metatrends are defined as follows, and you can see that there is the increasing digitization and the increasing dependence on the way the world is developing on the digital technology and on the transformative technology. Of course, that informs everything that is happening with digital communication, with language-based communication, and specifically with the communication based on the employment of foreign languages. Furthermore, we consider as a premise for the study of digital interoperability of language in use and language in learning, we consider the set of the factors of societal changes. Those are devised by Davis and Fiedler, and as you can also see on the slide, they are completely focused on the increasing computerization and the increasing development of social structures in the form of networking communicative structures, computer-assisted networking communicative structures. All that informs the development of very specific communicative grids that are the types of networking interaction, and those would be the parcels of Industry 4.0, the so-called Web 4.0 and Web 5.0. Those are increasingly dependent communicative ambients that are facilitated and completely informed by neural networks, by machine communication, and direct machine-to-human communication. Consequently, the development and the derivation of foreign languages curriculum and the derivation of the foreign languages education globally, be it locally here in Ukraine, be it regionally in Eastern Europe, completely depends on the transition from the service economy into the situation of Industry 4.0 and into the knowledge economy and value economy. The job market trends, they demand the development of the interdisciplinary, complex, and interoperable skills of those who are entering the task force. And those skills, let me tell you what, they are communication-based. And they are language communication-based. So our team, we have devised a comprehensive grid of framework interoperability between various types of complex skills networks and complex skills sets. You can see it on the slide. More specifically, you can look up, please feel free to look up the prior publications of our research team on the matter, because those types of skills, they are the presupposition that informs the use of language as a communicative and a learning tool in the Industry 4.0. Okay, so what is happening right now? How that mega trend onto dependence of technology, how has it been upended by the Black Swan scenario? The Black Swan scenario, that would be the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, and certainly whenever we are talking about digital interoperability of any type of education, communicative-based linguistic education specifically, and communicative-based linguistic-based inquiry, we are talking about the need to adapt the existing social scenarios to digital and remote formats. We are talking about the need to upgrade the ICT competence and digital literacy of all communicants and all participants of the social interaction. And we are talking about the need to activate the complex interdisciplinary skill sets, otherwise latent or underutilized in social interaction. So all those factors, they inform what we prefer to call in this inquiry the interoperability of digital interoperability of foreign languages education. Okay, moving on. So the basic conceptual grid that we refer to throughout this particular study would be interdisciplinarity, universality, digital education, and interoperability. And of course, the digital interoperability, whenever we are talking foreign language foreign languages education, it's being informed by the digital transformation of society, the trends of technology transformation, the trends of capacity transformation for technology in use, for technology in practice, and for technology in learning. And the second pillar that we base the concept of digital interoperability on would be the concept of multiple disciplinaries. I'll delve into it a little bit later because interoperability and interdisciplinarity are closely interconnected concepts. One is dependent on the other. Those are not, they are not interchangeable, but they're closely connected variables. So the interdisciplinary framework consists of three basic types of disciplinarities, would be the multidisciplinarity, the interdisciplinarity, and the transdisciplinarity. So what we've done next, we've considered the development of digital trends and the technological augmentation of foreign languages use and foreign languages education. We've considered them as the background for the derivation of a specific multidisciplinary interoperable grid of foreign languages education. It consists of three types of silo, the various types of disciplinarities, the various types of educational components, and the various types of products or various types of outcomes that are the results of foreign languages education. And all those variables, all those silos, they are digitally interoperable, as you can see. That particular framework is considered to be a computational framework, as it is based upon the principle of input, output, input content, and output. So taken into account, the interdisciplinary dimensions of the digital education, they comprise of three basic components: the exodisciplinary dimensions, the type of communication between the human and the digital ambient; the endodisciplinary dimension, the human and human interaction within the digital ambient; and the extradisciplinary dimension, and that would be the human and machine interaction, the human and post-human interaction. Finally, what we did next in order to facilitate those dimensions of disciplinarity and make them into interoperable communicative structures functional for language in use and for language in learning, we've developed the framework of interoperability between the complex skills, we talked about them later, and the various paradigms of digital skills. So this is a grid that is functional, and this is the grid that we are experimentally approbating as functional and as applicable to language-based communication and to language-based learning. We've also devised, based on that grid, we've also devised a concept of the digital meta skill as a presupposition, as a kind of a premise for language in use and language for educational communicative purposes utilization. And we've devised that concept of the digital meta skill as interoperable across the dimensions of three types of communication: language-based communication, individual communication, educational communication, and professional communication. And finally, we had a deeper look at the construction of the network communication patterns, which is informed by the types of skills that are the presupposition of this communication and the types of technology that is interoperable with those skills. That said, we've devised the kind of a four-dimensional grid of various types of communicative networks for foreign languages education and foreign languages for educational purposes, and they are distinguishable based on the fact whether they are data-centric, emotional intelligence-centric, whether they are based on soft skills or hard technological skills. That is interoperability in use. And based on those approaches to modeling the digital interoperability of foreign languages education, we've devised several trends for foreign languages education that are informed by the development of digital technologies and that are specifically informed by the paradigm of the COVID-19 lockdown and emergency digitization measures. I will, for the time's sake, I will just identify those trends in passing. That would be the first trend would be the development of digitally interoperable communication formats in education. That is developed through the replication of non-digital or the simulation of the non-digital communication patterns or communication formats in educational spaces. That would be through the development of completely digital, self-aware digital, born digital, communicative ambience and communicative interactive formats in foreign languages education. And that would be the evolution of digital learning formats from mobile learning, we know about that, to ubiquitous learning anywhere, anytime, to the temporal scape, to the temporal coordinate, the whenever learning. That is also a variable that changes dramatically the very setup and the getup of the communicative ambience in foreign languages education, interoperable with the digital technology. The second trend would be, of course, the very reason we are here today, assembled to discuss the digital humanities. That would be the transition from human-generated and human-oriented to digital-oriented content across multiple disciplinarities of digital humanities, the derivation of and the introduction of digital art, digital history, digital pedagogy, digital music, and digital sociology into the communicative environment of foreign languages in use and foreign languages for educational purposes. And that derives specifically for the foreign languages educational environments and for the foreign languages educational communicative frameworks that results into the development of the born digital artifacts or nomens, because they are not specifically artifacts, they are not physical, but they are artifacts of the mind, and that would be the born digital learning objects, the born digital learning scenarios, and the born digital learning outcomes. That is how interoperability transcends every aspect of foreign languages education and foreign languages communication. And that is actually where the experimental and where the empirical part of the study comes forth, because in order to test these various interoperable dimensions and interdisciplinary dimensions of what is happening to foreign languages education as it's being infused with the digital technology and as it's being oriented to the digital economy, we've conducted a survey. The survey has been conducted across the universities of Eastern Europe, and we were spanning specifically, we cheated a little bit because we were spanning specifically the students that are either employing foreign languages for their day-to-day educational activities or their foreign languages majors, because that gave us a very distilled idea of what is happening to the future of the market of the workforce, who are completely communication oriented. They're building their future based on how they're going to be employing the language. So we've conducted a survey and we've identified that is disclosed in faster detail and deeper detail in the article. You're absolutely welcome to look up the numbers. I'm going to point out that we've disclosed the actual structure and content of what interdisciplinarity for digitally interoperable foreign languages education means for our respondents. What are the interoperable skills that they think they need to be developing? And we've conducted the survey across 4 years of study, the complete bachelor's program. So there is a specific difference and contrast between the input-oriented respondents, those who are just freshmen, and the output-oriented respondents who are seniors, and they're looking the very reality of digitally interoperable workforce and job market right in face. And we've also identified the social spheres that are the most lucrative for the application of their linguistic skills. And we, of course, we figured out that IT sector and various types of technological sectors would be considered lucrative. So those were the variable dimensions that we delved into. We also considered the content of upskilling or reskilling, interdisciplinary reskilling, that needs to be performed, or that needs to be taken care of for the graduates that are entering the digital workforce, due to the fact that they're lacking the specific types of skills based only on language major education. And finally, the third trend that we've identified in the digitally interoperable education would be the transition from human to machine based communication. Of course, those would be the various artificial intelligence solutions in education and in educational communication. And that would be the introduction of various types of digitally interoperable realities, digitally interoperable communicative ambience. And that would be the introduction of natural language processing for educational purposes. On the slide, you can see the examples of the actual projects that the students that we are supervising, the team members are supervising, that they're carrying out the digitally interoperable language processing projects. They're not related to the digital technology, but they are facilitated by it. And of course, we've arrived to several conclusions. If we're talking about the digital interoperability of foreign languages education nowadays in the third stage of the pandemic digitization measures, we are talking about the need to dramatically increase the interdisciplinarity of foreign languages education, the interdisciplinary awareness of foreign languages based communication, and the interdisciplinary awareness of language based professional activities in general. That would be the wrap up. Thank you for your attention.